Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Cold Hard Truth podcast. I'm Anish Gupta.
I'm Jack Smith.
I'm Shrikar Gender.
So today we are going to be doing award winners, at least for the quarter of the season. Obviously, we're already 4 weeks in, and I think all three of us are kind of surprised we're this far into the year already. I think we've got a good picture of good teams. We've got a good picture of some bad teams. And some teams, they're still up in the air. Are they for real, or are they just pretenders? But as of right now, we did our award winners. I obviously made a video on my award predictions heading into the year, and a lot of them are similar, except for obviously MVP. And it has not looked good, obviously, but he is first in the division as of right now, which I can't say for Shrikar or Jack's teams. So hey, or my team, in fact. So hey, I guess that's a plus side to all this. But do you guys want to start off with any award, Jack? You got the first pick. You can let us know.
Yeah, so we're starting with Offensive Rookie of the Year. I think it's important to note that these aren't predictions. These are as of right now. If these awards were given out after the first 4 weeks, this is who they would go to. An Offensive Rookie of the Year, as of right now, I would give it to Justin Jefferson. I believe that through the course of the year, it'll be Joe Burrow, especially because they love to give this award to quarterbacks. But I've got Justin Jefferson winning it. He's just been, even though he's only performed well in a couple weeks, because he was, I think, limited. Sorry about that. He was limited on the depth chart the first week or so. But he's just really shined, and he's taken that offense to somewhere that they weren't able to be in the first couple of weeks. And Justin Jefferson's been playing out of his mind. I said earlier in the year he was a sleeper for Offensive Rookie of the Year, proving me right, and I'm going to pick him right here.
Yeah, I'm going to go with Joe Burrow. Look, on some level, you just have to feel bad for him. He is playing behind one of the worst offensive lines in the league in Cincinnati right now. And he's paying the price with some of the hits he's taking. But to his credit, he's kept bouncing back up, and he's put up some impressive numbers to this point. He led the Bengals to their first win of the season in Week 4 after a tie in the previous game, Week 3. Furthermore, he threw for 300 yards, and he's thrown for 300 yards in 3 straight games. Again, that speaks to how impressive he's been despite a bad team around him. Through 4 weeks, Burrow is currently 8th in the NFL, I believe, in passing yards. He's thrown 6 touchdowns, only 2 interceptions, and he's rushed for a score as well. I think he's just a big-time gamer. He's made some truly impressive throws in every game he's played. And really, he's shown that last year at LSU wasn't like a one-year wonder kind of deal. So if Burrow can stay on the field, it's not a given with the hits he's taking, but if he stays on the field, I think he should be able to win Offensive Rookie of the Year. I was thinking of guys like Jonathan Taylor, Justin Herbert, Antonio Gibson, even Justin Jefferson. They've all impressed, but I think with the profile of Burrow and what he's done on the field, I think it's hard to argue with giving him Offensive Rookie of the Year.
Yeah, good analysis by both of you guys. I guess I'm the deciding factor here. I'm going to go with Joe Burrow. Again, you guys know how much I love quarterbacks. And what he's done with this team, I think he's had a lackluster supporting cast, aside from his receivers. And Joe Mixon obviously stepped up last week, but he was inconsistent the first 3. And this dude, when I watch him, he makes plays. I mean, the thing I go back to is 5 out of 5 fourth down conversions against us. Because, I saw that full game in real time. That was very impressive. If a quarterback can do that on key pivotal downs and at least keep drives going, that is a huge thing. He can get the ball downfield. He knows he makes the right reads. I've seen maybe a couple mistakes. The one pick against LA was probably his biggest, but it's a rookie mistake. He's still learning. He was in a Dwayne Haskins type career, like football career. I mean, he had 1 year where he, showed out, but obviously we're seeing better results from him. And kudos to him because he doesn't have the best team around him, and he's still keeping the Bengals competitive in a lot of these games. I don't really think they've been blown out in any of their games. I mean, they've stayed competitive in all 4. So I'm going to give it to him. And one guy you guys both didn't mention, which I think should be ahead of Justin Jefferson, Clyde Edwards-Helaire. I think tough call, but I think I would because he has really made this Chiefs offense even better. I think he's added another level and another dynamic to this offensive personnel. And you're seeing it with Andy Reid's play calling. I think you give a weapon like that to Andy Reid, and it just makes it all the better. But obviously, Justin Jefferson's been showing out. But also, I mean, why are the Vikings not winning if they have two of the best receivers according to PFF? That's my question. And Justin Herbert is definitely up there on my list too because of what he's done, how he surprised some people. But again, I think that if he could have finished maybe 1 or 2 of those games that he was in, especially the Buccaneers game, maybe he'd be higher on my list. Maybe if he won the Panthers and the Bucs game, maybe he would be on top right now. But as of right now, it's going to be Joe Burrow.
Yeah, I think that I would love to see Justin Herbert win Offensive Rookie of the Year. And yeah, you're right. If he won a couple of those games, I think that he would be my choice. But
No
moving on
doubt.
to defensive rookie of the year, this is a tough one because I mean there's no super big standout candidates. I mean Chase Young played super well his first week, but now he's been hurt.
Yeah.
I'm still going to give the award to him right now. I mean 2.5 sacks, 2 tackles for loss, I believe, and a forced fumble. Trajectory, it's looking good for Chase Young. And when he's on the field, he's looked like the best defense rookie in the league. I mean, like there just aren't a ton of great candidates, so I'm giving it to Chase Young.
Yeah, there are going to be some interesting arguments made for the likes of Patrick Queen or Kenneth Murray. Someone like Antoine Winfield has played well to start his career as well. Jeremy Chin too. But if we're talking about who's been the best rookie on the defensive side of the ball through the first 4 games, I got to give it to Chase Young. He's already proven to be a big-time disruptive force. As Jack said, 2.5 sacks, 1 forced fumble, 2 TFLs. He's just been a force for Washington when on the field. And I think according to PFF, he's the 6th best edge defender to this point. It's just he has a complete presence as a pass rusher and a run stopper. But really just what makes this race interesting is that Young is currently banged up. I think it's a groin injury that forced him out of.
He suffered in week 3.
And then he didn't play in week 4. So his status moving forward really is just on a game-to-game basis. So if he gets back on the field, I don't think there's any reason to believe that he won't continue his dominant start. But if his health continues to be an issue, I think someone I just mentioned earlier could sneak up and take the award from him. I was thinking Antoine Winfield out of those guys.
Yeah, I think you guys again forgot a name who should be in the discussion. I'm going to pick Chase Young as of right now. I'm sticking with my Ohio State Buckeyes here. Jalen Johnson for the Chicago Bears. He's been playing pretty well. I mean, obviously, I've been watching a lot of Bears content from my guy Chris. Shout out his podcast, Bear Down. Please go check it out. But yeah, he's been playing pretty tremendous. He had one of the best PFF grades leading up to the week. I think one of the highest graded defensive rookies as well. Antoine Winfield is another one that I was thinking of. I did want to draft him as a Browns fan. Obviously, we haven't seen Delpit yet. So as of right now, Winfield's looking like the safe and good pick for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. But yeah, I'm going to give it to Chase Young just because I think on the field, his immediate impact was very good. I saw very similar moves and, progression to Myles Garrett when he first came in. Right off the bat, he had immediate impact, and I see that with Chase Young. So a good career ahead of him if he can stay healthy. That's going to be a big problem, already suffering these type of injuries. And you saw it. The game honestly broke open once he got hurt against the Browns. It was a pretty close game at the time. So, it just shows his impact. So I'm going to give it to him. But again, watch out for Jalen Johnson. If he continues his run through and the Bears keep winning, who knows?
I think the problem with giving it to someone in the defensive backfield is it doesn't happen very often. I mean, look at the rookie season that Derwin James had. He didn't even win the award. And I mean, Jalen Johnson and Antoine Winfield aren't Derwin James, and they are not having a rookie season like Derwin James was having. So it doesn't happen very often. And edge rushers always get the spotlight. But moving on to Coach of the Year, I'm between 3 guys. I'm between Sean McDermott. I'm between Matt LaFleur and Andy Reid. Andy Reid deserves a Coach of the Year at some point. He has not won one, I don't believe, with the Chiefs. And it's just the problem is his team isn't surprising anybody. I mean, his team's performing just like everyone thought he would, and so it kind of goes under the radar for Coach of the Year. But I'm going to go with Matt LaFleur. I think I would go with Sean McDermott, but the Bills, I expected this. It's not like they're blowing me out of the water with what they're doing. I expect them to do well. One team I didn't expect to do well, or as well as they are at least, is the Packers. And Matt LaFleur deserves credit for going 13-3 in his first year as the Packers coach last year, and for bringing this team that honestly a couple of us were doubting going into this year. And now they're 4-0, and they have the best offense in the league so far. So I'm going with Matt LaFleur for Coach of the Year, but Sean McDermott's very close.
I can take this one, Shrika.
Go ahead.
So I think with Matt LaFleur, he also has the best record through the first 20 games or 20 so starts in NFL history since 1950. So again, like I said, if you win, you get my vote. I think, but however, I'm going to give it to another guy who's 4-0, and the guy I picked earlier in the year, Sean McDermott, because he's seen this Bills team throughout. He saw this team when there was a time where this team was expected to go really like 2-14, and he took this team to 6 games. And this, I believe, was Josh Allen's first year, or it could have been the year before. But Josh Allen, again, we've seen Josh Allen's progression. Like I told you guys, a first-round pick is not expected to come out the bat and do these type of things. It's steady progression. I still think he had a good year last year. A lot of people disagree, but I really do, because he went 10-6. He made the underrated plays to win them games. So say what you want about Josh Allen, but right now he's looking like he's playing at least to right now as a top 5 quarterback. So let's hope he can keep that up, especially for my sake as a huge fan of his. But a lot of people said, oh, he played the 2 worst teams in the league. He's looked pretty good against the Rams and the Raiders. So I got to give credit to Sean McDermott there. And the Bills defense, I mean, Jack says they carried Josh Allen last year. Still disagree, but they are a good defense. I can't deny it. They're easily a top 5 unit. They look good on all 3 phases of the football. And he was also there for the development of Trey White. I mean, that's another guy that I look to and say, hey, Sean McDermott has developed a coaching staff around him that is disciplined. It's, Buffalo culture, right? Bills Mafia, that type of thing. He goes well with them and this Bills team. And that's why they're doing so well right now. But another guy I wanted to shout out, not Andy Reid, is Frank Reich, a guy I had as my honorable mention in my award winners episode 4 weeks ago. Again, when they lost to the Jags, everyone was losing all their stock in the Colts. But now they're 3-1. They arguably have the best defense in the league. Stat-wise, it's not even close. They're first in everything. And Frank Reich, again, we see how Carson Wentz is looking kind of without him. I wouldn't say he's dropped off, but I'd say it's a little bit different compared to his 2017 year. I think we can all agree. So Frank Reich has shown he can keep this team together. And also Phillip Rivers has, he's actually been rather efficient. People haven't, expected that, but though he hasn't thrown for a lot of touchdowns, he's been pretty efficient. This offensive line has also looked really good. So I give a lot of credit to Frank Reich, but I'm going to go with McDermott for Coach of the Year.
Yeah, these are all great candidates. Another name I might have thrown in was Pete Carroll. Just seeing him finally opening up the Seahawks offense has been great to watch. It's really the jump that the Buffalo Bills have made this season that kind of gives Sean McDermott the early edge in this race. Last year, they went 10-6, made the playoffs, and McDermott really, of course, with the help of Brandon Beane and a great staff, he's been building something impressive with the Bills, and he's touched on this. But really, even that
who's leading that team, by the way? Like in Nevada?
Sean McDermott.
Joshua freaking Allen.
But look, even that couldn't have really prepared me for the Bills rolling out the way they have in 2020, namely with Josh Allen making a monster leap and this offense just looking unstoppable. And really for the past couple of years, the whole motto for Buffalo was let your defense win games and hope Allen does enough and limits his mistakes. That's really just been turned on its head, though, because Allen is carrying this team to wins, which is really just a credit to how McDermott has built and developed this roster. So because of that, I think he's my Coach of the Year right now.
And I'm giving Coach of the Year to LaFleur, but if I were to give a Coordinator of the Year, it's going to Brian Daboll, Buffalo Bills offensive coordinator, for his instrumentation of this team and this offense. But really, I think the next award is a unanimous selection. Comeback Player of the Year, it's got to be Cam Newton. There aren't a whole lot of other great candidates. And Cam Newton's been playing well, and he's brought this Patriots team to, I believe, what are they, 3-1?
Well, 2-1 with
2-1, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, he's played well. Looked for him to sustain it throughout the year, and he honestly has an interesting storyline because if he can come back in the season too from this COVID scare, that's just an added wrinkle to the Comeback Player of the Year train for Cam Newton.
Yeah, and I was about to say with Cam getting COVID-19 and missing week 4, maybe missing week 5. I think that race got a bit more interesting, but at the same time, though, he looks like a potential runaway for the award if he can get back on the field sooner rather than later. Just filling the shoes of Tom Brady in New England, I think he's kept the Pats heavily in the mix. He's been very strong through 3 games. He's completed, I think, 68.1% of his passes. He's thrown for 714 yards, 2 scores, 2 picks. He's also rushed for about 150 yards and 4 touchdowns as well. He's got a clear role as a dual threat player in this offense. So I think a healthy Newton is the clear favorite here.
Yeah, there was a guy who wasn't really high on this Patriots team.
There was
and
a guy.
Of course, Cam Newton.
I literally had Cam Newton as my Comeback Player of the Year
and there was
prediction,
another
so I don't want
guy
to hear
who
it.
said he had a better career than Andrew Luck last year. That's me. I've always been a Cam Newton fan. You guys know that. He's one of my favorite quarterbacks of all time, and I just think people hate him for no reason. I don't understand the hate that he gets. He's really changed the game for a lot of young African-American quarterbacks, in my opinion. And just his swagger, the joy that he brings to the game, it's really contagious. So for Cam Newton, I think it's obvious that he should win this award. And I think it shows why I was higher on the Patriots than Jack and Shrikar. It was just because Two guys, Cam and Belichick. I just think Belichick would have been able to use Cam, and McDaniels, a little bit of credit to him. But again, Belichick would be able to make this team do like Jack. Even Jack, as much as Jack hates the Patriots, he said it himself too. The players know their roles. Like Chase Winovich, I mean, we're seeing like his development firsthand as a guy that none of us were really high on, but he knows what he has to do. Key third downs, make plays, or in second downs, make plays in the run game. And everyone knows what they've got to do. The secondary knows what they have to do. We're seeing a little bit of a drop off from Stephon Gilmore, but I'm sure he'll be back. Obviously, prayers to him for his COVID case. But this team is looking pretty solid. They should definitely be in the contention for a wild card spot this season. And I think all credit goes to Belichick and Cam Newton, especially the quarterback who's leading the team into battle.
I mean, there aren't a whole lot of other candidates. Ben Roethlisberger, his team's 3-0, but he hasn't looked completely, amazing.
Yeah, and again, they're 0-9, the teams that he beat combined record. So
yeah, so the other person that I had considered, which I thought would be kind of funny, Myles Garrett, but they never give comeback player of the year after they suspend you for half the season.
Let's not talk about that. Yeah.
But Myles Garrett is in the running for Defensive Player of the Year, our next award. I'm not, however, going to give it to him. I'm going to stick with my preseason prediction in TJ Watt. They're neck and neck, and honestly, you give it to Myles Garrett, and I'd be fine with that. I said when we were talking about the NFL Top 100 list, I expected Garrett to make the biggest leap out of anybody on the list. And I honestly expect him to be in the top 10 for the next NFL Top 100 list. That's a bold take. Okay. But I think TJ Watt,
Browns hater, I like that. We like to see that.
I think TJ Watt has got to be the pick right now. I just think he's a little bit more versatile than Myles Garrett. And I think he makes a bigger impact on the Steelers games that they've played.
All right. I'll let you go last, Anish, because I know you have a bunch.
Sure.
Of them, but look, quietly, this is a tight race for Defensive Player of the Year. TJ Watt, he's been phenomenal, but he's only played 3 games, which kind of hurts him with such a small sample size. Zadarius Smith is another name I throw in there. He's tied for the league.
Good name, yeah.
Mm-hmm. But he's tied for the league lead in sacks, but he hasn't really been consistent. Aaron Donald, he's also still a dominant force. But to this point, I think Myles Garrett is my pick for the award. He is tied with Smith for the lead in sacks. He's tied for 8th in tackles for loss. He has 3 forced fumbles, I believe, and he's recovered.
Yep.
Mm-hmm. And according to PFF, he is the best pass rushing edge defender in the league. He legitimately could have made a run at this award last year if it wasn't for suspension.
We had him mid-season.
But look,
we all did. Yeah.
But look, he's been consistently harassing quarterbacks thus far. So I think he has another strong case this year. Assuming he stays on the field, that's my pick, Myles Garrett.
So here's what I'll say about this race. And even when I was picking it at the beginning of the year, TJ Watt individually is a stud, but we have to look at what else he has around him. I mean, this guy has one of the best secondaries in the league. This guy had Bud Dupree, who literally made Saquon Barkley have a living nightmare live on television. And he has Cam Hayward, Stephon Tuitt, right? Devin Bush. I mean, this team overall, right? And again, I didn't even mention the guys in the secondary, but you know who they are: Joe Hayden, Minkah Fitzpatrick. I mean, he has such a loaded team around him. If you watch this Browns defense, literally their defense has been literally hidden because of our offensive play. It is so bad. I mean, this linebacking core is absolutely trash. I mean, literally they made a few plays when they needed to. And aside from Denzel Ward, the secondary hasn't been all that great either. Obviously, Greedy Williams continues to not be able to play on the field. But yeah, this secondary really hasn't been good. And Myles Garrett has made key plays in each of the 3 wins, which is the 3 strip sacks that he's had, right? Against Cincinnati, they just got a 4-down red zone stop, right? And they're trying to move down the field, and immediately right after a strip sack by Myles Garrett. So that breaks the game open. And then against Washington was coming back, and then Myles Garrett literally essentially breaks the game open as well there too. And we talk about obviously the Dallas game, 14-7, I believe was the score, or it could have been 14-14. Strip sack again, and the Browns take over. It's key plays. It's what he's been doing. And look at his pass rush around him. Ogunjobi's been pretty good against the run, but now he's injured. Sheldon Richardson, same thing, banged up ever since the Bengals game. Where has Olivier Vernon been? I've said to get this man out of our roster for so long, and he's still there and not doing anything. So Myles Garrett has literally been carrying this defense. So I'm going to give him the award just because I think his plays have been phenomenal in in each of the games respectively, and that's allowed this team to win their 3 games.
Yeah, and I think there were a couple front runners for this award too that have disappointed a little bit. Up until last week,
Chandler Jones is one of them.
Chandler Jones has 1 sack on the year after leading, I believe.
Jack was very high on him too. So
I don't know what's happening.
Yeah.
And Khalil Mack until week 5, which is one more game than everyone else has played, was a little bit disappointing too. Zadarius Smith, I believe, should have won the award last year. I really think that he had a very underrated season.
I'd
But
still give it to Gilmore though. I
I'd give
think
it to
just
Gilmore.
for what he did.
at least the best pass rusher, in my opinion, when you take all things into account. And it's just I think there's a little bit of weight in the fact that I predicted TJ Watt at the beginning of the season, and it's a little bit of projection as well. That's why I'm going with TJ Watt. And you argue that he has Bud Dupree. I argue he made Bud Dupree because Bud Dupree was not what he is. I argue that Bud Dupree was not what he was until TJ Watt broke out and started to play.
Fair.
Like
I'll
this.
give you a little bit of that, but you also got to account for the rest of the guys that are there.
No, I
Hayward's
understand.
been there for a while.
Yeah.
Stephon Tuitt has been there for a while. The secondary's been there for a while too. So
But you
I
can't
agree
knock
with the
him.
Bud Dupree though.
You
Yeah, I
can't
can't.
knock him.
Obviously,
You
I
can't
can't.
knock
That's why
him
he's
for that, so.
obviously in my top 2. But that's why I'm giving Garrett the edge, just because of the weight he's had to carry this defense.
Yeah. Sugar, do you want to start us off on offensive player of the year?
Mm-hmm. I think a lot of people are going to disagree with me on this, but I'm actually going to give it to Josh Allen here. And that's kind of going against the grain with a huge trend over the past years where, whoever wins MVP at quarterback would usually win offensive player of the year. But this time, spoiler alert, I don't have Josh Allen winning MVP, but he takes home offensive player of the year. He ranks second in passing yards, third in passing touchdowns. I did calculations before this game. He's on track for 5,304 yards and 48 touchdowns.
You hear that, Jack?
Yeah.
I don't know
On
if he's going to
pace.
get it, but that's what he's on track for. And he has 3 rushing scores as well. But more important than that, perhaps, he's thrown just 1 pick and he has a completion rate over 70%. Like
you hear that too, right? Are you writing it down?
I do. I told you that he had potential. I said that I expected him to take a leap. I just said
as long as he's looking better than Darnold, I'm very happy.
But Josh Allen is my pick for offensive player of the year. I'll keep it at that.
So here's what I'll say. There are 2 reasons why I did not give it to Josh Allen. One, because I don't want to jinx him like I did Carson Wentz. And I literally sent him an apology via – I was so sad after week 1. I was so heartbroken. So I'm not picking him just because I don't want to jinx my guy. And another reason is because there's a guy down in New Orleans that has literally been a top 5 receiver as a running back and is still, literally there were 2 games where he was averaging over 6.8 yards per attempt. And that is Alvin Kamara, who is currently playing like the best running back in football right now. I don't think it's even close. I would have said Chubb second, obviously, but now he's hurt. So, and Dalvin Cook maybe, but also he was banged up, right? Or no, I don't think Dalvin Cook was. Yeah, Aaron Jones has been playing well too, but no question, Kamara right now. He's been playing like an absolute stud. And Jack has said it too. He can expand on it too. But he said he would only give RB contracts to 3 players. I believe it was McCaffrey, Kamara, and Saquon, I believe.
Saquon,
yeah.
Well, but honestly, not anymore.
Oh, because of his injury bug?
Yep.
You said, okay. So, 2 guys now. But here's what I'll say with Alvin Kamara. That play where he literally takes a backwards screen. And, it wasn't better than Beastquake. I think people rushed a little bit too much. But here's what I'd say. It's the work of balance that he does. I've watched his workouts over the offseason. The dude literally stands on 1 foot, does this consistently works on his balance and his ability to be quick and shifty. And that's why his elusiveness it's better than anything I've ever seen since maybe Jamal Charles. This is the best version of a elusive back I've seen in a long time. Immediately comes into the league and has the most broken tackles. That's insane. So I'm going to give it to Alvin Kamara here just because of that. And I don't want to jinx Josh Allen.
Yeah, I've got Kamara too. And I said last year that everyone was really overreacting. He had a disappointing season, but he was also nagging. He had nagging injury throughout the rest of the season. Everyone's like, he can't get in the end zone. He has 7 touchdowns already this year on the ground and through the air. So I don't want to hear he can't score. And look, running backs can have a disappointing season, but Kamara underneath, he still had a crazy amount of broken tackles, and he's still working harder than any running back that I've seen. Just the work he does, I believe, is going to become a big trend in the NFL. I honestly believe that a lot of people are going to pick up some of the work
you're
that he
seeing
does.
the running backs that do it though. Kamara and Chubb, those are the 2. Chubb's workouts are also insane. Watch his box jumps. You guys have got to see them. They're incredible. Yeah.
I think a lot of running backs, young running backs too, are going to pick that up. It's going to be a trend, and it's kind of like in baseball how a lot of pitchers are throwing high to combat the upward swings of batters. It's going to become a trend, and running backs are going to start to pick up these workouts. They're going to start to train like he does, and I think you're going to start to see a shift: less power backs, more backs that train like Alvin Kamara. But he's been ridiculous. And I don't want to give it to Josh Allen because if a quarterback wins Offensive Player of the Year, it's almost a guarantee that they also won MVP. Over the last, I believe, 20 years, there's only been one instance where there's been a quarterback won MVP and a different
I
quarterback
think it was
win Offensive Player of
2011.
the Year.
Breeze
Yep,
and
2011, Breeze and Rodgers.
Drew Brees,
But Breeze threw for 5,400 yards and I believe 50-something touchdowns. And it's only because Rodgers threw for
not 50. I think it was 48.
48, but Rodgers threw for even more than that. So I don't think Josh Allen will keep this pace, to be completely honest. I've been very impressed with the work that he's put in and what's come out of it, but I don't think he'll keep up this pace. And for me, Offensive Player of the Year means either the MVP wins it or it's a non-quarterback. So I'm not giving it to Josh Allen here. If I were to give it to a different quarterback that didn't win MVP, it would go to Josh Allen, but I'm giving it to Alvin Kamara because his season has just been absolutely ridiculous, and I don't believe in giving this award to quarterbacks.
You don't believe in giving it to quarterbacks? Interesting.
Unless it's the quarterback that won MVP. Like Mahomes, you cannot – I mean, if he's the most valuable player, I believe, then he is the Offensive Player of the Year with the season he had. But last year, I mean, who won the award? Did Michael Thomas win it or did – Yeah, Michael Thomas won it. You can't deny –
because he set the reception.
Yeah, you can't deny his production. Lamar had a great year. He was the most valuable player. But, I mean, no one was more impressive to me on offense than Michael Thomas. So it's if you're going to give the MVP to a quarterback – you cannot give Offensive Player of the Year to a different quarterback, in my opinion.
Okay.
But, Shrikar, you told us that you don't have Josh Allen winning MVP. Who do you have winning MVP?
Look, I'll say this. We potentially have one of the best MVP races that we've seen in recent memory right in front of our eyes. You look at Josh Allen. You look at Aaron Rodgers, Russell Wilson, Patrick Mahomes. They're all playing out of their minds. So how do you choose? Well, really, to be honest, I think there's a strong argument for all of those guys. So I wouldn't really be mad if you picked anyone other than the guy I was going to pick. But for me, I'm going to go with Russell Wilson. You know, Seattle is finally letting Russ cook. He's making the fact that he's never gotten an MVP vote look just more and more dumb by the day. He's currently third in the league in passing yards. He's completed 75.2% of his passes. That leads the league, I'm pretty sure. He also leads the league in touchdown passes. I think it's 16. And he's only thrown 2 interceptions on the year as well. So really what he's been doing this season has been remarkable to watch. And this is a narrative-based award. So it truly does feel like this is his time to win MVP. But while that may be true, the race is really just tight enough through 4 weeks that things could just change from one game to the next. Because if we see Wilson, Rodgers, Allen, Mahomes, any of those guys marginally take a step back, one of the other guys could overtake them if they keep it up. But really, it's going to be such a joy to watch for the remaining 12 games. So Russell Wilson, that's my pick for MVP, but expect some fluctuation there.
I'll let Anish go last.
Yeah.
I had Russell Wilson before the season started. I was super high on the Seahawks, had them winning the division.
Mm-hmm.
And I've got, through 4 weeks, I believe Russell Wilson is the MVP. That we've seen that a lot of times, however. I believe last year through 4 weeks, everyone's like, Russell Wilson looks like the MVP too. So I've got him winning MVP, but bold take, I don't think he'll win it at the end of the year. It always looks like he's going to win it, and he does not. And I love Russell Wilson. I love the Seahawks. Something's going to happen. I mean, some players are going to play better. Russell Wilson will get lost. I want to see him win the award so bad. He deserves an MVP. And at the beginning of the season, though, he always looks like he's going to win MVP. And maybe it's different this year because they're letting Russ cook. And if I'm wrong, I'll love it, and I'll be super happy that Russell Wilson won. But I've got him winning it through 4 weeks. I do not believe he wins it through 6
Who do you think steals it?
I'm thinking.
Don't jinx him.
No. I should. No,
right.
I'm thinking Mahomes.
No, he doesn't. He wants to jinx him. He wants to.
I'm thinking Mahomes. But honestly, it could be Aaron Rodgers.
Okay.
Aaron Rodgers has come in with a fire lit under him after the Jordan Love draft pick. So I think that my prediction right now would be through 16 games, Aaron Rodgers wins the MVP.
Okay. So here's what I'll say. First off, my MVP is Carson Wentz. No,
Why? Because he's number one in the division?
Yeah. So this is literally my only, I think, take so far going into the year that has been drastically wrong. I think everything else I've been pretty solid on, except for Calvin Ridley. I did not anticipate this. But yeah, Carson Wentz, here's what I'll say. he misses his players. He needs it. Obviously, I got to go back to that take. I'm sure Jack will probably put a clip in there. But what I did say was I thought the three favorites coming in should be Russell Wilson, my homeboy, and I think I said Deshaun Watson. Obviously, Deshaun Watson, unfortunately, has just been ravished by just a terrible overall team. I feel bad for him. My homeboy's looking like my homeboy. Proven, essentially me, right? Not really. We all kind of had this.
Yeah.
But here's what I'll say. I do have Russell Wilson as my MVP right now. And I think he's proven why he should have been the favorite coming into the year. But I don't want people to say he's the best player in football. I don't. MVP doesn't make you the best player in football. I'm sorry. Just one MVP award. It doesn't. It usually doesn't. I'm sorry?
Lamar's not the best player in football.
Yeah. So, and it doesn't, it's also it's a narrative based award. This whole let Russ cook thing, honestly, I don't get it because he's always been the leader of the offense and he's always found ways to win. So I don't really get the narrative, but okay, fine. He's throwing it more, I guess. And he's looked better because of it. He is the best deep ball thrower and it's not even remotely close. The plays that he makes and basically the upward velocity that he can put on a football is just absurd to me. There's a lot of science that goes into it. I'm not going to get into all that nerdy stuff, but it's just insane. The way that he can get the ball downfield like that, especially on the sidelines. I think it's incredible. But there are a lot of quarterbacks that should be thrown up there. A guy who I did have as sleeper MVP is looking really good right now, Josh Allen. I'm not going to jinx him in any way like I did Carson Wentz, so I'm not going to say anything on him. But Aaron Rodgers has looked amazing, and to Jack's point about how he's just felt a lot better with the or lit a fire under himself. You got to recognize, these quarterbacks have a life off the field too, especially these older guys. And I think the Danica Patrick split that he had back in July has just made him a little bit more happy with himself because it was just a toxic relationship for him. And he's feeling a lot better about himself. You can see it. He's more happy with his teammates. I've said this a lot, but I just think that's a really underrated thing that people are forgetting. And I've seen him on the Pat McAfee show too. He just looks and feels better. So I think Aaron Rodgers could definitely take it over time if this Packers team, pulls some big wins down the stretch. Who knows? But as of right now, it's got to be Russell Wilson. This dude is on pace for 64 touchdowns, looking really good right now. And so are the Seahawks. I think this team should be the favorites in the NFC. But I will say this too. Until my homeboy came in last year, I told you guys this was my number one quarterback in the NFL. And right now he's number two and looking really good with it. So to kind of wrap this episode up, I think you guys are okay with that. You guys got any other bold takes?
Well, okay.
Maybe Ryan Finley for MVP?
Just wait until Aaron Rodgers gets Devontae Adams back too. He's been doing this without his star receiver.
Yeah.
So, just watch out.
Yeah. So I think to wrap this episode up, though, let us know what you guys think. There are a lot of award winners here. I think it'll probably be similar to ours, but there's some maybe surprise guys that we missed. And obviously, road to 500 on Instagram, road to 300 here. Please follow all our socials down below. Like, comment, subscribe, do all that. Thank you guys so much for watching, and we will see you next time.